A wise man once stared into the abyss. What's crazy is that he found that the abyss stared back. Tonight, we're going to talk about emptiness, a lack thereof. Tonight, we talk about the nothingness. Join us.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. Taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. Welcome. I'm Dan.
I'm Nick still.
And we are
the
Unpanderers.
We almost had it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that
we're gonna get.
I think it's whenever you take a long pause, the absence of speaking draws you in.
Oh, it does.
The nothingness.
We're going to talk about the nothingness. Yep. I watched, was it Never-Ending Story? No.
The nothing.
The nothing. That's why I was saying it like that. Yeah. Tonight we're going to talk about that super boring, concrete subject we call nothing. That's a great subject. You picked it.
I did. I most certainly did.
Is there a reason?
I was thinking about all the things that we've done. And the absence
what they've amounted to?
Yeah. Well, they have amounted to something. I don't know what it is, but it is something.
That's true. Do we have a definition? I know we love that. I have a nothing definition, but it doesn't mean anything.
I hope this is good. Give me what we got.
I'll go by merriam-webster. Nothing, not anything, no thing. Definition 2, no part. 1 of no interest, value, or consequence. Definition of nothing, adverb. Not at all, in no degree.
Nothing like the others.
I got nothing, the noun. Something that does not exist. The absence of all magnitude or quantity. Also, 0 sense. Someone or something of no or slight value, and yeah. Okay.
Do you want to go personal?
Nothing.
Immediately?
Oh, go ahead. Please. Go personal immediately.
When's the last time you felt like you had nothing? Or when you felt the loss of something that it dropped you to a point where you realized, A, that you had less than you previously had, closer to nothing, and that you had something and lost it?
I mean, I think of... So this might be towards the end of the episode, but I think of death a lot and how, I mean, it doesn't really matter whether you're homeless and covered in poop most of your life and addicted to crack cocaine, or you run a small business and every morning you tie your shoe left foot first, right foot, and you put your shoes on and shine them. And like you have this regiment and you know so many people, because eventually in like even just 100 short years,
you will be nothing.
You will be nothing. And so will that homeless person covered in their own poop. And it's like, whoa, it's crazy that we spend all this time on how we tie our shoes or our work ethic or what we buy or something. But really, it really won't matter. Like to the point where you could die at age 1 and be like, have a disease, or like you could live 98 years and be crazy. You could be a terrible person. You could literally just do all the things that make you feel good and never do one good deed for someone. And it has the same sum value as someone who could spend their whole life trying to do good. So then, I mean, I went full blown there.
Yeah,
that's like
you definitely did.
At the end.
That you are from dust to dust. The interesting part is that we come from something. We just don't know what. We call it dust. And then when we die, we assume that nothing. Yeah, that we become dust again, or go to some fantasy realm where happiness exists or something.
Yeah.
Or it's actually heaven. Who knows?
So we're made from physical, atoms, right? Obviously.
So
that make up certain things. Okay.
Yeah, but mostly space, right? Because an atom is mostly space.
That's wild too. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Like the amount of distance between like a nuclei and its electrons is like
Massive.
the equivalent of like, I don't know, like being in a city of, you better actually look it up.
I want to know, yeah.
It's like the equivalent of like a city and like having like, I feel like I don't know, one building in a city, like an entire city is the electrons. And they're all like buildings also. I think I've read somewhere there's a scale. I don't know if there's an easy way to search that.
So the scale is that a nucleus, if it were the size of a basketball, then its lone electron would be found about 2 miles away.
It's insane,
yeah,
dude.
that's
it's
crazy.
Like a basketball, and then 2 miles away is its electron.
It's a whole lot of nothing in the middle.
And that's the smallest thing we know. That's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
That is massive. A massive amount of nothing.
And we're made of how many electrons?
Oh.
That are 99.999% nothing? It's insane.
You don't have the other tattoo of like how much you are?
No, I should. Maybe I should. That's my right arm, dude. And I was just going with electrons. That was the smallest thing I could think of at the time. But how many atoms is it?
7 billion billion billion.
Okay. Billion.
Yeah.
And that's just one individual person?
Typical human.
Huh.
I don't know what they call
person.
Typical human, yeah. Around 7 billion billion.
Or are we talking like
70 kilograms, which is what? 140-ish?
135 pounds.
Yeah.
I made that number up, dude. I was basing it on nothing. So it is pretty funny that we are nothing. I didn't even get there.
155 pounds.
Okay.
70 kilograms.
So that's like you in high school. I could see that.
Yeah. Weirdness. A lot of space. The space between.
There's a lot of space.
Well, you were talking about death and how you turn to nothing. It's kind of like, I think it's the opposite. Right? You have lineage and you have genetic buildup, which gets transmitted somehow with genetic memory. Sure. And then if you're like Tom Hanks, you're related to everybody. Or like Genghis Khan. Like Tom Hanks is related to Abe Lincoln. And also, like, Mr. Rogers, apparently.
Is that true?
It's like, I think it is true.
I thought that hype came out because he was playing Mr. Rogers. It was like something you'd see at the bottom of a website where it's like, his son looks like what? This celebrity, you'll never guess what this celebrity's got.
These two celebrity dudes made love.
Yeah. And you're like, whoa, I got to click this link. And it's like 40 pages. And you're like, damn, I wish I could get to the end. I was going to tell my friends I saw the news. So I'm not sure. I didn't know. He was.
The last article that I read seemed like it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be like that you are that guy, that you're like the atom, and you mated with another
2
atom.
miles away.
And then, A-D-A-M.
There's no Adam and Eve. It was Adam and Steve.
Adam and Steve.
A-T-O-M. Yeah.
Oh.
A-T-O-M. Science.
Technology. Media. That's what we're about here on the Unpanders.
Technology, media. It's such a funny thing because nothing is defined. Like we were just talking about the space of an atom. What's in that space? It's not air, right? Because air is made up of atoms.
It's like we can't. So there might be something there. We just can't perceive it. Isn't it something like 90% of all that exists we can't see, hear, touch, or feel? Is
that a Incubus Science album quote?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
It is.
I got it.
Science.
That was amazing.
Yes.
It was good. It was a good quote.
I think it's 97%.
Reality is 90% that we cannot see, taste, or smell. The electric tin 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 tin. Yeah, that's a good album.
So nothing. Last time you felt nothing? Going back to that question?
I guess my grandfather passed away about
huge loss.
6-9 months ago now. But I mean, you face death a lot when a loved one passes, so it's like, I guess that makes sense. How about like because it's weird you mentioned a thing you you didn't have anymore or something. So like, are you talking about when you lost something physical?
It's the realization. Well, I guess there's a realization that like you can't understand all the stuff you have until you lose it. So like all the stuff that we take for granted, it's when it's no longer there, you actually feel the absence of it.
Like what? Like a potato peeler? And you're like, damn it! And you're opening all your drawers and
you
you're
can't find the
it's
potato.
Gone. It's gone.
For me, it was the end of college. It was like leaving all my roommates, like all those people that we hung out with, that I hung out with. That
did you have them? Or are we talking about a different thing here? Have in your life, I guess. Are you going with?
Well, influence. I mean, like you can't possess them.
No, but I guess you live it.
Yeah.
I will possess the shit out of them.
Yeah. But you understand that there's what's the damn word?
I don't know.
The nostalgia, like the loss, the pain of memory. That you know that you could be happier with those people hanging out, but that moment is gone. Like it's fleeted and it's...
You have to grow up. Everyone's moved in different directions. Mm-hmm. Things have kept going. You've already kind of crossed paths.
Uh-huh. The
like
world
that
I know.
junction is over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Collective.
The world I know. I know.
Collective soul, I think.
To keep... Yes, it is collective soul. Yes. You have to keep an eye out for all your musical references.
Yeah.
Now, right?
So there's a moment there where I'm the last one holding the keys and turning off the lights, and you get to say bye to a house, which means nothing, that had all your friends in it, which mean everything. And
didn't your parents sell your house you grew up in?
Yeah, they did.
That's weird. You don't have that anymore. You can't even go there. You can't visit it. I mean, you could.
I think about that actually. I used to sleep in this room, and they're like, "Can you get out of this room, please?" No, you're gonna have to.
Call the cops. I know we will play hide and seek so bad in here.
I know so many ways into this house. Did you change the locks? That window doesn't close all the way. I know it.
Oh, I know which steps creak, pal.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to possess this house. No, but you're exactly right. Is that the places that mean so much, the things stop meaning whatever they meant. So they really do mean that. Like looking at, like I can think about, I could look at my home, my childhood home and go, like I feel nothing. The same thing with employers, like the past jobs I've had. Like I think about it mentally, but emotionally nothing is there. Like I'm just like, I was there, it's something I did, and it's done. It's gone.
No, I feel not the opposite, but when I go back to an old job or an old neighborhood or something, I feel a weird pang. Like
the nostalgia.
Yeah, it's definitely nostalgia related, but it's like I used to run this joint. I used to be able to walk down here and get my crappy coffee. Like this used to be mine. Does that make sense? Like now I'm visiting. Like you don't have that comfort of doing whatever you want or mocking it or putting it down. Like you're not allowed to because it's not yours anymore. I can't walk in and give everyone the middle finger at my old job. I would do that and everyone would laugh if I did that at my old job, like while I was working there. Mm-hmm. But if even 6 months went by and I went in and just gave everyone the finger and I was like, oh, you want me to clock in with my finger? I always use my middle finger, right, Reggie? And he would laugh. Like now it's not the same. I can't make that joke. I can't go there and just make coffee for everyone. I can't go there and I can't just wander the building. It would be weird. Yes. I could physically do it, but it's not the same. It's like I haven't earned it. I don't deserve it. I'm not part of it.
Like canopsia?
You're out. Oh, what's this word?
It's an eerie, forlorn atmosphere of a place that is usually bustling with people, but is now abandoned and quiet. So it's like an emotional canopsia, is that the emotional response that you get from those people is now not the same. You couldn't evoke that from people. Jokes. Yeah. No, and you didn't earn it. You're not part of it anymore. It's like, hey, you're elsewhere, dude. This isn't you anymore. But there's also this feeling that they never replaced you. So there was never a new you exactly. It's just there's no more you. It's gone. Yeah. You that worked at X place is now gone. It's not like they have an exact replica that tells all your same jokes or anything. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You're gone. Or coworkers leave. I've had that happen multiple times where you create a core group of friends. My one job, I spent 10 years, so I saw all the people that were like me and ambitious leave for more money and go elsewhere, and like your clique is no longer there. Your group is breaking apart, and they just You know, they have their own lives. They're doing their own thing. It makes you feel not necessarily lonely, but alone. Is that you're alone in this world to choose and do your own thing, which is independence, and it's great. But eventually it makes you feel like you're isolated.
100%. Like ultimately you have these bonds with people, and they're your best friends, they're your awesome, they're your family, they're whatever. And family and like best friendship, I think, is deeper than just the average thing, but it's still ultimately the end of the day. If you have to go and say, hey, I'm getting a job overseas, and you go get your job overseas, and you kind of, I mean, it's a whole different schedule, different time frame. Mm-hmm. You could cut out your family, your friends, everyone you knew your whole life, mm-hmm. and their lives would go on and your life would go on. And it's a weird thing to see that you almost think that's not possible, that something happens, but no, everyone would actually carry on and be okay. And that's a weird feeling.
It's baffling how many people there are that are living their own lives, and that you only like intercede their life for very short moments, and then everyone else is just they could exist without you. So it's like being alone in a crowd of people, and that all those people are doing their own thing, and you're not necessarily needed.
Well, how about the German word or the whatever word for when you're at a stoplight and you see someone to the left and like you're ready to like try and race them or something, or like be like, damn it, they better not make a left. Damn it, they made a left. And then they eventually make the left and you're like, F you, pal. And there's a realization that that person has an entire life. That person may have just broken up with his wife. He may be struggling, hurrying to reach his kids. Like they have their own life that's literally could be 30 years of lore that has nothing to do with you. And it's like, it's just as important as your life. And the only time you've interacted with them in their life and your life is this moment where you're both at the red light and you called them a jack off. Like you don't even know them. And it's such a big thing that two lives and you're measuring them all in like this 1 second span. And you're like, hey, jack off. Come on, pal, make a left. It's a word that you realize everyone that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, like in public, like you mentioned in the grocery store. When you bump into someone on the street.
It's like the opposite of solipsism. Because in solipsism, you believe no one exists outside your bubble. But then it's a realization that they do exist.
Every single friggin' person has their own friggin' long-ass story.
You so want to figure out what that word is, don't you? It's driving you nuts.
So do. It's one of the ones, and I feel like the video had a flame on it. No, that was a different one where your flame, you're hardening or whatever. That was a different one. Yeah, that was a very sad one.
Is this the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we used to reference them all the time. I'm sure we actually referenced this one at one point. But it's a weird feeling, and I don't know. On one hand, it makes you feel more alone. But I guess ultimately, we can do this at the end of the episode, it makes you feel more connected because everyone's doing this. Everyone's living this. Like you're experiencing this experience, but it's not just you. Everyone is also feeling this. And everyone has their own story. Everyone has this long tail. You don't know what part you play. Like you could bump into someone on the bus and like not give them the seat, but like you have really bad gas that day. Like, that's not going to make their story. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, if I stand up, I'm going to fart so bad, and everyone on this bus is going to smell it. And you're like, oh, I got to stay, my friend. And they're like, huh, okay. And they keep going, and they're like, that guy's a jerk. Meanwhile, you're like, whew, I didn't fart on the bus. And, like, it's weird that those two things passed.
I've seen the opposite, is that, like, a bunch of people are on a train, and one person thinks, like, oh, I can't wait to be rid of these drones. And he looks around, and he's just like no one's doing, they're all ants, and he's just sitting there doing nothing, and they're all having the same thought. Like, look at all these ants on the train waiting for something.
We all are, I guess. I don't know. Let's talk about the physical nature of nothing.
Okay. Sound?
The nothing can have sound, correct?
Exactly.
Or nothing cannot have sound, right?
Yeah, because we rely on the air to vibrate and push our mouth noises into the microphone.
So is nothing, the literal nothing, is it the vacuum of space? Is that considered nothing?
That's where I started to think about, like, I guess there's all representations of nothing. Space is the best one. Because it's lonely, you're isolated, you can't hear in space. Like the things you hear are all you, so there's no communication.
It's internal.
Like Gravity, like if you've seen that movie, they like the sounds and the quiet are very focused. Ad Astra. I don't know if
go ahead. I did not see Ad Astra. You had mentioned in your text it would be great if I did. I did not.
Yes. It was. So Ad Astra is based on the premise that you're searching for alien life, that they're searching for alien life out in the borders of our solar system. So he's heading to Neptune. It just so happens that he accidentally kills everyone. Oops. On the way there. Spoiler.
That'll happen.
Yeah. So he accidentally kills everybody, and he goes to see his father, who is like the pioneer. And he gets there, and his father says something to the effect of, "I never had any feelings for you or your mother, and I still don't."
Like, I wonder if I still don't. If that's a rough? I guess it is. Yeah.
That's the definition of nothing right there. There's no emotional response from that guy. You're not connected to any human being, and there's no way that you could be like reconnected to anybody. And your goal, he fails at his goal. So his dad fails at like discovering life. So he has nothing. Digest that for a moment.
I just don't think you can be a person and have nothing like that. I think that's like a fake character thing.
You don't think that person will like start creating? Like if they're out on a space station.
Mentally. Yeah, dude, you will start imagining things. People have to create something. I don't think you can exist with nothing. Otherwise, there'd be no brain waves. There'd be no nothing. You'd be no moving, no. You'd just be processing information, I guess. But even then, you skew it in some way, or make it a game, or make it a contest.
An interesting perspective that happens in Ad Astra is that the son tries to save his dad because he's a human being, but the dad out in space, he says like goodbye, failed, and
see ya.
Yeah, the perspective is that the son realizes that it doesn't matter to communicate to him. He's gone. He's lost. He doesn't give a shit. But from the son's perspective, he has worlds of knowledge because he recorded everything about these planets, about all these inanimate objects. It's the most knowledge that we've ever gained in the universe. And he's just looking for life. But that's only part of what you're looking for. So he takes all the scientific knowledge and says...
So he failed at finding life, but he found so much more other shit that we can use. It's information, it's knowledge, it's breakthroughs in science. It's kind of cool.
There's also another tangent here. Is that Kerbal Space Program? Video game? Yes. You've played?
Mm-hmm. I've played. I don't own yet.
The whole object is to fling yourself out into space and then to find other solar systems. Have you ever noticed, like, if you're just... It takes forever, so there's a fast forward button. But if you're just free floating in your capsule that you've built yourself with, like, tiny little lights and a little bit of gas and a little bit of energy from the sun stored in batteries, and it's really silent, you hear, like, almost like static?
No, but now I want to. So nothing?
There is, like, a break in the static of, like, garbled voices of, like, speaking different language, or, like, it's not alien, it's like someone trying to talk to you, but it's like one of the weirdest feelings in the world to be, like, silent for, like, almost like 5 minutes, and then you perk up immediately because you think someone's talking to you. It's like a transmission that you received, and then you're just like, you're awoken by it.
That would probably that'd be a real doozy if that really happened to you.
If you're floating in space.
Yeah.
All by yourself.
And then for like days at a time, and you heard a voice. Clear as day, just say like, Robert De Niro. And you're like, and then wait, and nothing for like 5 more days. You'd be like, maybe I just heard noise. And you're like, the word Robert De Niro is the opposite of noise. It's a focused sentence. It's an individual. And then you're like, but who would say it in space? Maybe it's in my brain. You could freak someone out, dude, with just the word Robert De Niro.
Yeah. So it's this is kind of strange, is that I think you would be able to feel the rocket that you're on, like the craft that you're floating in space, like all the little noises. you become so tuned to them that it becomes almost like you. Like little
Makes sense.
tings and flexes of metal. To hear something
Because that's
outside of that.
your entire existence.
To your environment, yeah.
You do grow accustomed to that sort of thing. So, with the vacuum of space, I thought this is weird. There's no matter or in which the pressure is so low that any particles in space do not affect any processes being carried on there. So it's like what you said with it won't transmit sound. It won't transmit almost any other wave, I guess. I don't know.
That no processes. Say that again.
A vacuum of space in which there is no matter or in which the pressure is so low that any particles in the space do not affect any processes being carried on there.
So they can't transmit. They can't be a medium because they're so far apart from each other.
That's wild. So is that even that's technically not nothing though, right?
Yeah, but like there's still like magnetism and like gravity waves. Like they still can transmit.
So how does gravity travel if it's not from particle to particle? It's on the fabric of space.
The only way we've like tested this is through these like there's like these like V-shaped I don't know like channels. Like you're measuring the change of the flux of something from like really far away, and they're orthogonal, is perpendicular, so that you can measure like the angle of gravity change in one and then not in the other, or it's like reversed. Yeah. So you can like, it's a very like minuscule flex. And they have this thing in like Arizona that has discovered that there are gravity waves. Like the change of gravity is discernible because of a supernova that happened like planets away.
Right. It affected the gravity on a local basis.
Yeah.
It warped it.
Yes.
But so what is gravity traveling along just the fabric of space?
I don't think anyone knows. So like there's like a substrate there that allows this stuff to travel, but
it's not particles, obviously.
No, how 97% of what we see,
I know. Well, that's why I'm
coming
back to that.
The nothingness it's all around us, but I mean, you could be surrounded by everything. You could see nothing, feel nothing.
Is the nothingness a backdrop? Is it like a framework? Is it like because that's a thing.
I don't know. Maybe there's.
Can we even picture a nothing? So I did a little every now and then I go through what's his name? Jesus Christ, philosopher.
Hit it. What do you
philosopher? Got? No, I forgot the philosopher's name.
Greek.
No, New Age. Like 5-10 years ago, I think he died.
Did you say something?
No. He just talks about like. No. Oh my god, it's so annoying. It's one of my favorites.
You don't have any quotes? Nothing? What was his theory?
It's just gonna bug me his name. Fill in space for 1 second.
Mike Tyson.
No, did you say Mike Tyson?
Yeah, I was just trying to interrupt. I have no idea who you're going for. I don't. Like, you didn't even give us a nugget. You gotta.
He made the game Everything. So here.
Theory of Everything?
No, the game Everything. They used all his quotes.
It's not Ethan Hawking.
Everything. There we go. Perception.
Stephen Hawking. Sorry.
No. David Riley, utility game engine, double fine, Eastern philosophy. Where's this friggin' name?
If you were loading a gun with this knowledge that you're about to shoot out, you would have already been shot. Dead.
Actually, what's crazy is it's going to just all of a sudden you'll be like, what's going on? I'm like, bang! Got his name right here.
Here's your knowledge.
That's so weird. It doesn't have
a German word. A guy who said something one time. I'm going to fill this with nothingness.
Alan Watts. Thank you.
Alan Watts. How you knew that guy?
I know.
Not in person, but
I literally do. No, personally, no.
He died?
Yeah. Let's see when.
You had a binge of Alan Watts like 2 years ago where you were like,
Oh,
I
I
love
did
to
it again.
pump iron in my garage
I get
while
back.
listening to Alan Watts.
I get back into him.
I'm
He's
going to
one of my
sweat
favorites.
philosophy.
Oh,
It's going
he
to
died
be
a long time
dripping
ago.
through my body, coursing through my
1973.
veins. Philosophy.
He died in 78.
That's a little while ago.
I'm thinking it was like 10, 20 years ago. My sense of time has changed as I got older. He talks a lot about our connection to reality and what we perceive as what we are and what we do and what happens to us and what happens to the world around us. And we always stay disconnected. Like we always consider ourselves an individual. Everything I do is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happens to the universe is unrelated. But he has this theory that like we're all connected to this. And he talks for like a whole like half hour about what nothing could be. And he says you can't ever know what nothing is because everything you experience, everything you can think of is a thing. He says nothing would sound like a fan getting really loud in the background of a podcast.
Yeah.
Nothing is a thing that like you can't even acknowledge because when we think of nothing, we think of like a blackness or a darkness.
If you believed in nothing, people would think you were crazy because you couldn't prove it.
Well, think of it. When we say the word nothing and picture nothing, what do we think? Okay, picture a blank space that's black and nothing moves in it. Well, that's a thing. That's a black, empty canvas. We give it a color. We literally give it a stillness. We give it a state of nature. Like we give it all this stuff. But nothing isn't anything. It's like you can't picture nothing. You can't
fill it with
nothing.
something.
Yes.
You always fill it with something. It's like don't picture an elephant. It's like you're gonna picture an elephant. You've just done it.
What do atheists think happens when you die?
Turn to nothing. Disappear.
So what happens? I don't even know. Does your everything just cease to be? Does it go somewhere? Is there like a trash heap where it goes? Is it like in pieces that don't make sense anymore? Is it an intellect that shatters?
Does your matter just get absorbed into primordial ooze?
I guess.
Something takes your essence.
This thinking I'm doing, this podcast, this whole me versus the world. So then you go back to the world, I guess? You go back to being just nature, sort of? Like
from
wind
dust to
or
dust?
Maybe. I don't know. He talks a lot about it, and it's one of my favorite pieces because it makes me think differently than I usually do. I don't know that I get anywhere from it, but...
Was there ever a time where you perceived that you were... Like, this is kind of the same. So there's a moment when I was probably in college, and you and I right now are so used to being around other people, like work, home, family. There's people always in our lives, and we're always doing something to further ourselves or other people. So there's constantly something happening, or we're sleeping. And there were moments. There's this one particular moment when I was in college when I had a little break, and I went home, and it was probably Christmas-ish, and I went sledding with one of the neighbor kids. And he just stayed out for like maybe 30 minutes, and he said like, I'm tired, I'm gonna go home. And I just like kept sledding by myself. There's a weird like by myself mentality that happens, and like I got to the bottom of the hill, it was getting late at night, and it was fresh snow, so it was like, ultra quiet. It was one of those like,
oh dude, fresh snow
serene,
makes that. Oh, yeah. It's a weird, it's
a weird silence. So you just kind of look at everything, and there's
natural.
I guess there's like a spirituality that happens, that you're so connected to like the universe and like what's going on in your immediate area.
With less sound though, is that?
It's kind of like the sensory deprivation tanks. Like I hear you just.
My mom has a coupon for one. She doesn't want to do it, and she's like, it expires in 2 months, and she texts me every 3 weeks because it's going to expire in like literally a month or two. She's like, you need to do it. You need to do it, and I'm like, I would love it. It's kind of like a cool thing. I just don't like have like an hour and a half period where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go sit in your salt bath and not here. Yeah. But I think I would think it was cool. Like it's something I would enjoy trying, especially because it's a coupon for a free session. Like, hell yeah, sign me up.
A completely free session?
I'm sure there's like, oh, the towel costs money. Oh, you want to get out? To release, it's $20. Or whatever. It's probably very cheap.
We've
I'll put it
tied
that
the
way.
string around your balls, and
And everything else is free. But if you want your balls free, we're going to have to pay the
it's
ball
like the
fee.
string is like an
Anyway.
inch long, and you're like, you have to stay right up against the wall, or
So I'm sure there's some dumbass,
Yeah.
whatever. But
I've never been in one, and I really want to. I feel like you have to be almost on something and also free
Yeah,
of,
but then-
like, it's supposed to relieve stress, like all the weight of stuff, because you get to think about it. I don't know that helps me to relieve stress, because it's going to be there.
there's stories of people falling asleep in it and everything. I just want to try it to feel that, like, I want to try it. I think it would be cool. But I also am really lazy and don't want to go to the mall or wherever the hell it is and sign up and fill out the paperwork and wait 20 minutes and then pay whatever. I don't know. But I might do it. Yeah, I'll do it. I think I'll do it.
You better do it. Do it before and after.
But where were we going with that? You were mentioning
There's a
sensory
connectivity there. So like, if you strip all your stuff down, like if you essentially live in the
so
moment.
you come down to that voice. So you literally you break everything else down, and there's still that voice in your head. It's
The
still
inner
there.
self, yeah.
The voice, the consciousness, the awake part.
It kind of feeds into like people, like the people who epitomize.
Epitomize?
Yeah, epitomize nothing.
Epitomize.
You mentioned earlier, like homeless people, because those people, they obviously have no home. They have minimal possessions. They don't have anything to really do. They might be aspiring to something, but a lot of them probably don't have any hope. And then they don't get any respect from anybody. So they're cast aside.
They're ignored.
They're pretty much
nothing.
ignored. Which, I don't know. I've never been homeless. I don't know what that feels like. But if you were at the bottom-most rung and you have nothing and you don't think you can rise above nothing, where does that put you?
I mean, it would be tough to get out of, because it puts you also in a different mind frame. I mean,
It becomes very basic.
socially. Yeah, and
your
it
instinct,
would socially not stunt you. That's a weird word, but like socially not develop you in the way that we are socially
You're
developed.
like a pariah.
Most people.
An exile.
Yeah,
almost.
100%. Yeah. You're outside the norm. You don't like you develop a certain set of skills when you live our lives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they are not part of that. So they will not have those, and everyone will think that's weird.
Yeah. And
Whoa, you don't have those?
it's also that we've built up a society that protects us from a lot of the basic feelings. So there's a base essential need for food and shelter and heat and water. All those things, I'm pretty sure homeless people feel more strongly than I do. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 100%.
But the satisfaction is probably multiples more than I feel when I drink a cup of water.
That's weird. Having to poo at a McDonald's. And then being
Shave in
told
the
you're a
sink.
pariah and then being told you're a pariah for pooing or shaving at a McDonald's. Like, it's like, damn, I can't win. It's a wild thing. What was the other tab I had open? So what I came to was eternal oblivion. It's a philosophical religious concept of one's consciousness permanently ceasing upon death. You know, I mentioned what atheists think happens to us.
Nihilism.
A little bit. Well, nihilists would probably believe this. The brain is the basis of subjective experience, agency, self-awareness, and awareness of the surrounding natural world. When brain death occurs, all brain function permanently ceases. Many people believe that death is a permanent cessation of consciousness, and also believe that consciousness is dependent upon the functioning of the brain. So they're saying the reticular activity system of the hypothalamus, guess what? Ain't happening, folks. Once it's done, there's nothing.
I like that.
I don't know.
You touched on our consciousness not being definable. It's like we believe it has something to do with the electrical signals in the brain.
Sure.
It's like, where does that actually reside? Like, if you're running it spiritual, does that it could continue on?
They could.
possible.
I agree. Like, what if it physically was a part of our locale? Like, the grounds I walk on every day. Isn't that weird to think that somehow it's
You can
tied
transfer
to my
into
brain
like
activity or something?
transfer into a tree, another living thing, or a person
I don't know.
transported.
Like, but I mean, think of it. The trees around me that I see every day do affect my brain activity somehow. Not necessarily like make me think I want waffles or make me think I should buy Cheerios today. Maybe. but they're there every day. There's something I see. It's another living thing. Like,
This is John Travolta in Phenomenon, where he's so connected that he's like feeling the trees sway, or like an earthquake about to happen. He's part of the world. He's just sensing it because he's so attuned to it.
it's wild. I guess maybe we are, and we block it out because it's so slow. It's so boring. Like, can you imagine living like a tree? I think we've mentioned this in a previous episode.
You're forced
Like
to grow over
of
hundreds of years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like every season is like a minute where you get to decide what to do. Whew, I'm taking off all my clothes. Oof, I'm bundling up. Oof, I'm wearing something fancy. Oof, but like that's over an
That's
entire
decades.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's wild that we don't think in those time frames.
That's like one of those what General Sherman, the giant sequoias, I believe. I always wanted to go to one of those national parks where it's literally like 30 stories tall. And
That's
as a human being like 30, 14-year-old, I'm deep, this, like the giant tree will make you feel like nothing. Like your existence means nothing to that tree because he's so massive, or she, or it is, whatever you want to call it. It's so massive that like you couldn't even compare. There's no, like, the weight of the tree would crush you and kill you instantly.
Forget the weight of the tree because it doesn't. It's the age. It's the numbers. I love that.
I wonder how old are those, like General Sherman? Well, I think it's like it's got to be hundreds, right?
If you Google the oldest tree, I want to say it's like
Baobab. Is that the one that's at
maybe
the top of the
Jesus? Yeah, it's ugly as
Jesus
hell.
tree.
And like
2,000 years old is General Sherman.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Is it?
Yeah, some of them are rumored to be like over 3,000 years old. So like almost like before, if you want to say Christ is a real thing, before Christ. Sorry, I'm not anti-religion. It's just
right. I don't know.
Oldest tree.
Yeah, this is interesting because I thought you were going with those trees, the Christ tree, like 3,000 years.
There is that there's a symbolic.
Africa,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's the one that doesn't look like it's alive, but it's like still.
Yeah, it's a dead tree.
It's like a dead tree, but it's still. I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of that one though. Wait,
do you know they won't reveal the location and name of that tree and everything because they're afraid people will just destroy it just because, like, someone will do it to get famous.
We didn't talk about destruction. Like the forced nothingness that people do. Like I see this in my children all the time. Well, they'll build something and then violently destroy it.
Oh, they love it.
They love it.
Destruction's a whole episode, I feel like. Because destruction isn't nothing. In a way, I guess it's a direction towards nothing. It's a breakdown of breaking what someone built. The
Tree of Jesse. You want to touch on? I think that's the one you're talking about.
Maybe it's a depiction.
Like,
it looks like it's dead. Look, it's dead the whole time.
I think it's a family tree, rather. All these depictions look like it's stained glass and very symbolic.
Sure.
Whatever. But I know what you're talking about. I don't think it's the same tree.
Okay. Destruction. They were saying that how much, I think there's a Vsauce episode on how much could you destroy something, evidence or a fact.
It's just the
you can't recover it.
This is so like the data storage one,
yes. Right? And it is. Yeah.
Is that so? It's
break
that
something down so far that it can theoretically be pieced back together. You can hack it physically to pieces. You can boil it in acid. You can do all this stuff to it. You can shred it to like within 1/1000th. But couldn't someone find those pieces over thousands of years, piece them back together, and then just retrace it, whatever, onto a fresh drive or a fresh whatever.
You're talking about
if they could find all those pieces.
When a hard drive is erased, it has a mapping of where your data is, and all that is happening is that the mapping of where the data is being destroyed. But it is still, the data is still there. You just need to find the location of it. So there are programs that will delete your data and then erase it. So they rewrite over the same data over and over again. But the cells that hold that data, they still have a memory of that data.
Of what they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Everything has a memory of what it did. So no matter how many times you erase it, we can just go to the first memory that you had where you erase the data. And technically, we don't have the technology to do this, but someone could theoretically invent that technology, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And extract data from whatever you had if they knew where to look. And then
you have to know a lot and do a lot and have technological craziness, but it's theoretically very possible. Do you know the only thing in the universe that can actually destroy data entirely? I believe is a black hole.
Sun or black hole? Well, the black hole...
What's the theory on that?
What, Hawking radiation is that the black hole is the only thing they emit that's based in any reality is the Hawking radiation. Because there's no way if we've existed for an infinite time frame and we're at that end of the infinite time frame now, there would be nothing but black holes, right? We would all be black holes. They
think we might end up there.
So
it's a theory.
There's like that. There's so many theories about like spring theory, like you're expanding in a universe and then you're dying and then you're like the heat death is that you're now decelerating or you're stuck or you're being pulled back into a black hole or like everything.
The big crunch, the big freeze, whatever the hell you want to call it.
I don't understand how there can be matter and nothing and it just ends. Like, there's no way that matter exists and it's not cyclic.
Actually, the one I actually abide by, maybe, is the big freeze. They think everything's going to expand too fast and that things are so far apart that even the vacuum of space is like 0.00002 Kelvin or something like that. Like, it's never zero because there's motion, there's energy, there's things moving, vibrations. They theorize that eventually all matter, even atoms and at the lowest phase, like electrons.
Just stop.
Yes, because they'll have run through all their processes, everything happening. And I mean, to move, for motion, for energy, there has to be something pushing it, right? Eventually, over a long enough time frame, I'm talking like 10 to the billion, trillionth years, that everything is hardened.
7 billion.
Yeah. Trillion. And trillion. Don't forget the trillion I said. But it will go so far that it will just stop. And everything will be at zero. And everything is like a soup that's all the same temperature, the same ingredients, and just stop moving. A full equilibrium. Zero temperature, same amount of matter in every direction.
So my counter to that is if there was a Big Bang, like how did all the matter in the universe ever go to that one point?
Who the fuck knows, dude? That's the craziest question in the world. That's literally the
answer it, Nick. I want to know.
Okay, hold on. Here, check this. So you have a big freeze, right? Everything is literally
slowly
spaced out
gathers
perfectly.
Back into itself.
Maybe. All it takes is one thing to move in a perfectly set theorem. Everything's perfectly spaced apart, all the same matter everywhere. If one thing shifted or was different in one spot, wouldn't it change everything where everything started moving and gathering together? I don't know. Theoretically.
I still think there's the nothingness that we don't know. It
has something in it.
Pulls us back to whatever the start was. And that start
so
might
it's not
be
nothing.
Trillions of years.
There you go.
Yeah, but there's no way we would know because we're not on that scale.
Where are you on the what's on the outskirts of the observable universe? 13.9 billion light years. Yeah. Do you think there's more space and it's not a big deal, or do you think there's nothing?
So, like, trying to think about, like, what can you actually? If you close your eyes and think about what's in your room, you probably start thinking one at a time about different things in your room. Like, I have all of these books behind me. There's probably
I was going with
200
walls,
books.
Floors. Yeah. Okay.
There's no way that I could recreate every single book. I could probably name like 3 books. So it's like my mind is constantly making this like fake reality for me to make me feel comfortable. Like, oh, there are books there and I know which ones they are. I have no clue
you don't
what
really
they
know
are.
100%. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to get fucked up, do you want to talk about, you don't know what the arrangement of electrons, atoms? If you don't know shit about the electronic, like the real fine stuff, you can't see arrangement. But go ahead.
It's like the screen that I'm looking at right now to talk to you is the electrons that I'm seeing that are being like transmitted through the LEDs to show light. Those electrons are gone. Like every moment, there's electrons that I will never see again. They'll be gone forever.
Oh, you didn't memorize any of them, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. You only get like notional ideas of what's actually around you. And for some reason, we're comfortable with that because we've lived that way.
Probably because of the passage of time, I guess. The way it goes. It's always moving forward. It's always at the same rate. I don't know. So what are you getting at?
So
what do you know about nothing?
Where do those electrons go? I'm curious what other people understand about electricity. Like where do they go?
Don't they just get reignited? I don't know. I don't think they die or disappear. I think they become... So a photon, is that what you're talking about? Or an electron?
So it looks like their energy is given off as a photon, but the electron is like at a certain level and gets brought down to another level.
And it's unexcited.
And then it's pretty much grounded. So it will be energized to your house and then de-energized and just dispersed. And all these electrons are just everywhere.
Do they get dispersed or can it be reignited at some point when it just gets to a higher level?
I guess it's like water almost.
Like it travels through it. Sometimes it's excited. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's this.
It rains down. It loses its like altitude, and then it's absorbed back into the earth again until you pull it apart and say you're energized again. You're free.
So literally, this whole episode we've been talking about nothing, and we can't even find nothing. We can't even describe nothing. We're not even at nothing. I'll tell you what, folks. My credit score. Nothing right now. Actually, I have a great credit score. I have good credit.
You got like 7, 8.
I was 8, but recently it's dropped to 790, and folks, it's looking to drop to 780, maybe 760. I might be looking for. I might be homeless real soon.
Is there anything else about nothing?
I don't know.
I guess the curious thing is I think about my kids a lot. So if they were born...
I think about your kids a lot too.
Yeah. If they were born into nothing. Like if you had no family structure, if you had no parents, you had no relatives.
They were just born in the wild?
You were born orphanage or whatever. I have no idea what that would feel like, what that would be like, what your emotional state would be if you would learn hardly anything. So I guess what I'm getting at is that not that I was born with a silver spoon, but I was born with like a structure, an environment, and given things and money, learning. Health. There are people out there that are not given anything. They're given nothing. And I guess the odds are stacked against them. And I have no idea what that's like. Is that you are not given the opportunity to learn or grow or be something. So there's like the make something of yourself kind of argument that we haven't really touched on. I don't know that it's. I just don't know that it's possible.
You're talking about odds. I feel like.
Yeah, odds and like the American ideal, the American dream of like coming from nothing and becoming like a billionaire or millionaire or like wildly successful. It's like those are ideals that we like foist upon ourselves, but I don't know that it's actually true. Like it might be in certain cases, but like coming, like if you literally came from nothing and had no education and had no resources, you wouldn't get there.
I 100% agree with you in that it's probably some kind of weird illusion and that the people who we perceive have come from nothing, which, by the way, I couldn't name one. Could you?
Didn't Trump say that? Like he
He said that he was given $1 million on like his 14th birthday. That's not a very from nothing story.
Or the people that say they come from nothing, but they have social capital. You have the different avenues of wealth.
There's ways wealth and success usually come via wealth and success, or via a pathway. Mm-hmm. Now you can jump steps, I feel like, if you're really good at something, or if you get lucky, but I don't feel like it just comes from nothing, obviously. And maybe that's a common sense statement, but
so there's another element of like being a creator, which I think I'm a creator. Like I'm very much geared towards building stuff and making stuff.
Making something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have it work on its own and keep growing and adding layers and manipulating it to be better.
Where does that come from?
I have no idea. I don't know why I do that. I do it with everything.
Well, it's from somewhere, isn't it?
I assume it, like my parents gave it to me, or like I played enough games to realize that like living in a certain like mode helps you. So like creating stuff to help you is useful. So
again, you're coming at like your influences made you do this, but isn't there something else? I'm not saying there is or isn't.
Deep down, like when people pick out a college major, the reason I picked my like engineering major was because I wanted to build and create things. And that's always been the case. So there's a deep down feeling of needing to do that I don't, like other people who don't have that desire to build and create and manipulate, I don't understand. Like I don't understand what they believe, and maybe they don't really believe in anything. Maybe they believe in nothing. So I don't.
Well, they don't not believe in anything. They don't adhere to any policy or think about it.
I don't know. There are people out there that I wonder what they're really thinking, like what they're doing.
I feel like they're not thinking about it. Is that a thing? Like people who aren't doing a podcast like this, I guess. So they're nothingness, the thought of whatever we're talking about in this podcast, kind of.
Yeah, I guess it's like the lack of stuff. And to understand the lack of stuff, you have to understand
the stuff.
The stuff. Sort of. Yeah.
Or understand that you don't understand the stuff, if that makes sense.
Yes. I'll end it on like, so the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, they have a term called ellipsism, which is the sadness one experiences when realizing that one won't live to see the future. So like,
yeah, you won't be alive, and
that your future experiences won't be overturned by a giant fan that sits above this room and makes a lot of noise.
That's incredible. Yeah. Giant fan.
Yeah.
The future.
It makes a lot of noise. But that's nothingness. Like you realize that you'll be missing out on experiences and the future because you will be nothing. You won't be able to perceive it. Is that too heavy for you, Nick?
No, you have to be. I mean, that's the definition of the future.
I mean, see like
otherwise it would be
cars that drive themselves and like fly and what my children become.
Cultural things and what happens. Well,
who wins the World War 4, 3? Which one are we
No, I was thinking like what happens to like the human race in like 5,000 years? Like, are we even worse? Machine? Did we succumb? Yeah, I just want to know.
How far can you go before you're like boiled in lava?
I don't know. That's weird. And even then, we're just talking about human beings. Like, can you imagine
life
going forward 500,000 years, and humans have been going for like over 400,000, let's say? How funny would that be? And there's like other life forms that are like more primitive or whatever, and you're like, huh, I didn't picture that. it's like, yeah, because you're very self-centered. You're very thinking about humans and what they did and then this and that, but you didn't think of just the universe existing by itself. I don't know.
There's a weird fragility of life that, so I think there's
but it's based on my idea of life. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it needs to think like me. It needs to want to have sex. It needs to it needs to have some drinkies with its friends. It needs to be like, yeah, we play hockey. I know it's Sally. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Life wouldn't feel like life without that to me.
But the progression of the progression of technology also makes it so that like things can be faster, smaller, better, more fragile. it's like that as technology grows,
Talking
it's
about
like
your wiener? Yeah.
mine is strong and furious.
And very slow and big.
But
no, but God.
So the progression of technology makes it so that it's even more fragile. So like at a point we become so, I guess, precarious is that all of our knowledge that's being built up over like all of these people over all the years, it can be lost in like one little like electrical spark.
Yeah,
like a universal electrical spark can wipe out all our knowledge. It's
not written down on paper. It's written down in codes and whatever. And like,
yeah. It's not
now
in
we did
stone.
discuss you could recover it, but it's interesting. It is getting more fragile, so it can be transported quicker, everything, et cetera, et cetera.
I guess the fear of becoming nothing is like they're creating those like seed banks. Like I think there's like a Scandinavian or Norwegian seed bank.
We discussed this at one point where it's every seed of every plant in the world, like underground, like hidden.
Or there's a tablet, I think, in like Georgia that has it like etched, like how to recreate like the basic of civilization, how to tell time and how to like grow crops and stuff. It's etched on a stone.
Might need it. Who knows, folks?
Or a plaque. Like we sent a gold etched plaque into the universe that tells other people like where we are, what we came from.
I like how it shows a man with like his arms like this and then like this, so we know which way his arms flex, and then his old ding dong hanging.
This is what we looked like.
It's a pretty decent ding dong, right? I'm trying to remember it.
Well, let's take a look at his ding dong.
Because I haven't seen this picture in like, I don't know, probably 5 years, 10 years. It's etched onto a gold plaque. It's been sent out into space on some of the satellites. It's like a picture of man, a picture of woman, a picture of like some math equations. What else?
Golden record?
Is that what it's called?
I actually don't see a man with a giant penis.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm just picturing a big wiener. Does he even have one?
It doesn't have a human being on it at all. It just tells us our mapping. And it shows like, I guess our like radio signals are like that we are aware. It has patterns on it to make it so that like this is not naturally. It's like there's no way that this golden disc could be like created by nature. I like how you just applied like a giant penis and like it should have been like you just see like the aliens open up this thing and it's just a dick and they're just like,
whoa.
Let's put
these guys are hot. Yeah. We're not going to find them. Our women are going to like them way more than us.
The aliens have like tiny penises and they look down at themselves and they're like,
and then
we can't venture.
Their wives are like, we're not going to. These guys are dead.
Yeah. And on the back of the disc it just says LOL, suck this.
No, it says AOL, suck this. Free AOL for 6 months, and they've sent us AOL free discs for years.
That's one of the most interesting things, though, is that like it's like come find us. We existed in this universe, in this galaxy at this point. I wonder like how we would feel like if you found a disc like that from an alien. What you'd be like, this thing's worth money. Let's boil it down to like a solid ingot of gold. I bet you.
Let's get some gold up in here. Maybe.
Nothing.
Sums it up. Well,
did you ever want to have nothing?
That's what it.
Be rid of everything.
No, but I think
restart.
Well, I think eventually it kind of would be
New Game Plus.
Forget restart. No. Forget restart. You see, you're applying human existence and life to it. I think at some point it probably is nice
to have not, as a child, like with no goals. Like the goal is to have fun and like no stress, no responsibilities. I think that's what you and I think about. I'm going with
no connections in life, dude.
To go through life as a lone wolf and never make
further. I'm talking like
to be out in the wild.
Hunger. No, to be dead and to feel nothing. 100%.
Do you think people exist that have no feeling and no desires? And do you think those people exist, that they're robots? You're saying that everyone's a robot? That they don't care?
That's a great feeling.
That's good. You like it?
Actually, I wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to dislike it, would you? Think about it. You can't dislike it. You literally, it's not like, oh, this is terrible, this is boring. No, you cease to exist.
If you were the dumbest dumbest human being on the planet, you'd be still happy because you wouldn't be aware of what you were missing.
I think the smartest person would be happy. You don't know that you're missing it. I'm telling you, you'd stop to exist. How would you know?
If you were aware of all the things that were possible, I feel like you would miss out on doing the things you can't do all at the same time.
You're done, dude. You're out. Your cerebellum's all done. It's all screwed up. We fucked it up in a car crash. You're done. It's like boom.
This is a Metallica song.
Fade to black.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters? Which one? I don't know.
I think this is one, right?
Oh, doom, ding, doom, doom.
He has no perception and no way to communicate. He's in his own brain, and he just wants it to end because he has nothing. Because he can't have anything.
I don't think it would be such a bad thing, dude. I think something would happen to you where you just go back into being atoms and stuff and electrons, and you start existing on like a super natural level. Like it's not as complicated as being a person where you have feelings and emotions and all this cool stuff that I love. But when you're...
He doesn't want to kill himself, dude. People.
But when you're an electron, guess what, dude? You got two options. Excited state, not excited state. Boom.
You are affected by other things. You don't have any choices.
I don't think it would bother you. I think you're like, yeah, I'm defiant. No, I don't think electron cares about defiance or anything like that. And there's something beautiful about that, too. I mean, it's... What's every electron? 10 trillion for 10 trillion on reacting the same way to the same stimuli? You imagine if a nuclei or an electron was
decided to be different.
No. Yeah. That always weirds me out.
They'll always be the same. I don't know that we've proven that yet, but maybe. I think so.
I don't know.
That's the way we simplified it.
Well, here's to nothing, folks.
I think that covers everything about nothing.
It does. Covers nothing and everything. Atreyu talking about it. We talked about that for an hour. The nothing. Isn't it a lion or a wolf? It's a wolf. The nothing. Atreyu.
Thank you for joining us on Nothing. And
thanks, folks. Can't believe you're still here.
We do feel something for you.
We feel something so hard for you, folks.
Yeah. It might be
you. We like you a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Check out our socials. Check out this. Check out our that. Come to our live show.
You don't have to do anything.
Bang, bang, bang. We don't pander.
You could do nothing. That's fine with me. Good night.
Good night.